As a new lash artist, it can be extremely intimidating to head onto a lash site and see an abundance of lash products and feel super overwhelmed when you're shopping. Like, what do I get? What do I need versus what is just a luxury? So today's video is focusing on the products that are absolutely essential for those artists who are brand new to starting their lash journey. Hello, my name is Kaitlyn Alford. I'm the owner and lead educator of Lost Artistry Lash, which is the channel you're on today. So if you are new to our channel, go ahead and subscribe. It's our mission to send to you as much free lash knowledge as we possibly can. We also have a super active social media platform on Instagram and TikTok, as well as Facebook. So go ahead and follow us on all of those platforms if you are liking the information that you received today. Okay, let's dive right in. So my focus today is to be as practical as possible. I'm not here to sell you an abundance of lash products. I want to talk to you about, of course, what you need versus some little hacks that you can use in the beginning so that you don't have to spend as much on lash products. Okay, so what you need first are, of course, lash extensions. When you're starting out, you have to start with classic lashing. I would never suggest you jump into volume until classic lashing is mastered, because here is where you learn the fundamentals of all things lash related. This cannot be skipped. So what you're gonna need are some products. Now, this is what a tray of lashes looks like. You can see. So in the lash world, you have the option of purchasing an individual tray, and within the tray, you'll find either a mixed tray of lashes or you're gonna find individual lengths. Both are great, but in the beginning, do not waste your money on buying individual length trays. The reason why you're not gonna do this is because now is the time. It's torrential rainstorm outside, just so you know. Anyways, back to the tutorial. So, don't waste your money in the beginning on buying a whole bunch of individual lash length trays. The reason why you're not gonna do this is because now is the time that you're focusing on figuring out what it is that you love. So instead of buying 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 millimeter in one diameter and one curl, spend that money on buying different curls and different diameters in mixed length trays. And then when you find you're like, oh, I'm always grabbing for this length, this diameter, this curl, that's when you start purchasing individual length trays. So mixed trays are the go. Less cost up front and gives you all the products that you need. So what I suggest is 8 to 15 millimeter mixed tray of lashes. The curls that are an absolute must are C curl, CC curl, D curl, and L curl, in my opinion. Now we also have B curl and M curl. B curl is a phenomenal lash curl. It's very straight, but it's the most amazing for the inner corners. But for sure in the beginning you can get away with just C curl, but in the future when you're feeling like you're definitely committed to this as your craft, B curl's great. Same with M curl. M curl is a very unique curl. It's more of a creative editorial curl. So do you need it right there in the beginning? No. In the future, when you're feeling like you got the hang of the craft, that's when you get your M curl and bring that in the door. But the other curls are what I would consider a standard curl. Now, diameter wise, a lot of people say 0.15s are the only diameter that you need. In my personal opinion, that is not the case. I believe that you need at least 0.12 and 0.15. Some people have very fine natural lashes, even if it's just between the strong lashes that they have. So mixing 0.15 and 0.12, great. But if you're finding that your client's lashes are looking a little bit drooped or whatever, 0.12 is the go. Finer lashes, you definitely need 0.12. You can even go as far as 0.10 for classic lashes, which I also love, but in the beginning, 0.10 and 0.15 are an absolute must. And I would also suggest 0.15 in flat lashes because they offer a little bit of a darker result. But those two diameters are, in my opinion, non-negotiable. Okay, we've settled on the lashes, and if you have any more questions about this, just honestly comment below. We're super responsive and we're here to help. So in the beginning, I totally know how overwhelming it is to shop lash products, so know that if you have any questions, just ask. Okay, Next thing that is non-negotiable is a fan. You need to blow your client's eyes as you work through the service to make sure they're not watering and just soothe the eyes. And it helps cure the lashes as well. The glue, I mean. So you're gonna use either one or the other. You can use the cheaper version, which is a air blower like this, super inexpensive, like under $5 to get one of these. And it's fine. Definitely a little more labor intensive for sure, but it does the trick. Next thing is our glue braiders. So if you want to invest a little more, I would suggest getting a glue braider. The reason why I suggest it is because you have a fan, so it's a 2-in-1. It's a fan, but it also has a glue attachment. So you just take the fan top off and put on another attachment, and then you can shake your glue, because in the beginning when you're shaking your glue, or just forever when you're shaking your glue actually, you're gonna have to shake it by hand for up to 5 minutes. And I don't know about you, but sitting here and doing this for 5 minutes, not fun. And if you don't do that, like that's one of those things that you cannot just throw that out the window. I don't need to do that. It's not like that, because if you don't shake your glue properly, you can chemically burn your client's eyes. So non-negotiable, you have to shake it for 5 minutes your first use and 2 minutes by hand thereafter. But with a glue braider, you only have to shake it for about 20 seconds. So it's really nice, and it's obviously a lot easier for you. So it saves you time and it's a lot easier. But in the beginning, if you feel like you're not ready to invest, you can absolutely shake it by hand and then get one of these guys. And then once you feel like you're 100% committed to lashing, definitely the go. Next thing you need, micro swab applicators. At the beginning of every service, you have to prime the lashes. Don't skip this step. So when you're priming, you're gonna need something to apply the primer with, and the micro swab is the best option. Some people do use flock applicators, but be careful, those are a little thicker and harder to control the amount of liquid, and primers are a liquid. So if you're using a harsh liquid and you use a lot of product, it's gonna go in the client's eyes, it's gonna burn, and it's going to suck. So you use 2 of these guys, sandwich them together, make sure that they're not dripping with product, and then you can easily and comfortably prime the lashes. Okay, on the note of primer, you need a primer. So this is our Bond-Aid primer. You're gonna use this before you start any lash service, and even before that, you should cleanse the lashes. In my opinion, cleansing, priming, and finishing your service with a sealant are all things that you should do from the beginning all the way through. The reason why this shouldn't be skipped is because cleanser is going to strip the eyes of makeup, any debris, any dirt, or anything that's on the lashes. And then your primer is gonna come in there, and it's going to rid the lashes of oils. It's gonna change the pH balance of the lashes, and it's gonna make the glue act magnetic. So it takes a couple of minutes to do this in the beginning, but if you skip it, you're gonna actually spend more time during your services, because the glue is not going to act the way that you would like it to, and it's gonna be quite frustrating. So no matter what, always start by cleansing and priming. And you use a little brush for cleansing, and you're gonna get all the way around the root. We have tons of tutorials on this. We can link one below and maybe even put one up here in the corner. You can click it, open it in another tab if you're curious about how we do that. Next thing is tweezers. You absolutely need the right tweezers for the job. So you're obviously starting with classic lashes, so we're not talking about volume today, but for classic lashes, you need a good isolation tweezer, and you need a good pickup and placement tweezer. I like to work with crane tweezer for picking up, but you can work with whatever you want. Personally, we find that a curved isolation tweezer is the favorite, the go for most artists that we talk to, because the curvature of it makes it easy to get over that brow bone and get into the lashes. You also want a fine pointed tip so that you can maneuver your way in between any natural lashes. Doesn't matter if they're curly, fine, that fine pointed tip makes a world of difference. So here are my 2 favorite tweezers for classic lashes. Sunset Ultra right here, Crane Ultra right here. But you can absolutely use any tweezer that you want, as long as you're finding that it is great for you and doesn't make your experience much more stressful than it has to be. So if you're finding, oh, I can't get this, try a new tweezer. You never know, it could be the tweezer. Next we have iPads. You cannot skip the iPads. The iPads are meant to offer protection for under the eye so that when you're working with sharp tweezers, you're not poking the skin, of course. Another thing is when you're placing them, you want to make sure that they're placed just below the waterline. You don't want them to sit in the waterline because that could cause irritation, but you also don't want them to sit too far away from the waterline. Why? Because if they do sit too far, then you're going to be able to see the lashes underneath the eye pads, the ones on the bottom lid. And if you can see those, you're not going to be able to properly place the extensions because it's almost like an optical illusion. You don't know what's what. So always make sure that your eye pads are placed properly. And of course, that they're sticking well. You need mascara wands for brushing the lashes, of course. We don't reuse these. We always give them to the client after the service. So these are disposable, never to be reused. And we need something to put our glue on. So I like to work with our spill-resistant glue ring, but you can work with a jade stone. You can work on literally anything that you want, as long as it's a cool surface and it's not porous. And of course, it has to be sanitary. So glue ring, jade stone, crystal glue holder. You can work with a foil sticker. You can even put some micro pour tape down. The only thing that I find really important is to keep your glue in a dome shape, because if it's splashing all over the place and kind of like falling around and it's settling in a flattened shape, then it's gonna cure really fast. So you're gonna be wasting a ton of glue. So make sure it stays in a dome shape. That's why I like the glue ring, because I'm right there. I can quickly dip and place instead of like coming from over here. But you can do whatever works for you. Sometimes I work from a crystal glue holder. I like that too if you're nervous about the glue ring, but anything will work. But if you are working on anything that is hydrophobic, then take a little piece of micro pour tape and just put it along whatever surface you're using, and that will actually keep your glue in a dome shape. So I guess that brings me to glues. Glues, in the beginning, you want to work with a slower cure time adhesive because you're going to be slower. There's no such thing as jumping out of training and just being a superstar, lashing like super fast. That's at least I've never heard of that happening before. But you want to work with something that gives you enough time to really focus on what you're doing, some time to think, so you can take your time and move from your glue to the client's natural lash and not feel like the glue is going to cure. You'll know if the glue has cured too fast because when you're brushing, they'll be just flying off everywhere. You won't get that magnetic like bond. So a 2 to 3 second cure time glue in the beginning, absolutely wonderful. Don't fall for the 1 second is great and speeds up your service time thing. That's not the go in the beginning. You need extra time for direction, placement, and really perfecting the art of lashing in the beginning. Once you're a master at those things, 100% 1 second cure time or 0.5 second cure time, wonderful, but it's gonna actually take more time for you to do the service if you're working with the wrong adhesive. So learn your adhesives through and through. Learn their functions, learn their temperature, humidity, learn how to store them. All of this stuff makes a huge difference. On the topic of storage, we store ours in the Lost Artistry Glue Home. Do you need this in the beginning? Nope. Get a container, sealed container with rice, like a Tupperware or something. Put your glue in there, and then you can just open up the container and use it anytime that you want. But as you get further into your business, you want something that's aesthetic and you want something that's more functional and you can like take it with you when you go places. So Lost Artistry Glue Home, awesome. You just throw a silica pack in the bottom and then you can store up to 3 glues in there. The reason why it's so important to have somewhere to store your glues is because they are very temperamental and you need to make sure that you're storing it correctly. So humidity and temperature makes a big difference. Inside of a completely sealed container with rice or silica packs, and the glue should be standing up so you never get cyanoacrylate in the tip of your adhesive bottle because that will hurt your client's eyes. So in the future, storage container like this, great, but you do not need it in the beginning. Just get a Tupperware, stand it up, make sure it's somewhere out of direct sunlight, and then you can use that until you're ready. And the last thing I'm going to talk about, because I feel like I just went so ham on all the things, is being sanitary. I should have probably started with this because it is in fact the most important part of lashing. But you're going to need something to clean your tweezers. Acetone, barbicide, doesn't matter. but we have something called Glugon. And Glugon is a product that is basically just acetone in a bottle, but it has these really awesome little like pink balls in the bottle, which are honestly a lifesaver for a beginner artist. The reason why they're so beneficial is because the acetone helps get any glue off your tweezers. And when you're first starting out as a lash artist, and this is something that I still use 8 years into lashing, but when you're starting off as a lash artist, you're gonna get so much glue on your tweezers, and if you keep the glue on your tweezers, like say you make a mistake or you touch the base or whatever, and you get some glue on the tips of these tweezers, it is going to be impossible to lash. You're gonna not be able to open them properly. When you release, the lash will actually stick to the side of the tweezer, and it can become very, very, very frustrating. So all you have to do is open the bottle, put your tweezer in, rub it around in the little balls that are in there. And 12. And then it'll actually clean the insides of your tweezers as well. And this also goes for releasing your strips from your lash tray, because when you're taking your strips out of your lash tray, they're sticky on the bottom, and any sticky is going to prevent you from making a good connection between the natural lash and the extension that you're trying to place. So of course, staying sanitary, I don't suggest always using this for your disinfectant. Grab yourself some acetone or barbicide, and you'll need that all the time, and that's less expensive that way, but to have this on your station is a lifesaver. And then the last thing about sanitation is something to keep your tiles safe and clean. So of course, as things are sitting out on your station, you can see that they collect dust and debris, and things are just floating around in the room. So if you leave your lash strip out on the counter or wherever, then it's gonna slowly collect debris, and that's gross. It's so bad if you're gonna place that on your client's natural lashes. Not just because it's not sanitary, but it also creates a barrier. And a barrier meaning between the extension and the natural lash, so that you're actually bonding the dirt that's on the lash strip that's collected from the air to the natural lash, instead of actually connecting the extension to the natural lash. And that's gonna break down, and your retention's not gonna be very great, and of course it is not sanitary. So you can keep your lash strips in a tile home like this, and then you can just put them back in when you're done, close it up, and lay it to the side, and then you're not spending a bunch of time taking your strips out of the packages and putting them in here. But is this 150% necessary in the beginning? Nope. You can use either the back of a tray, put your strips on here, and then put them in Tupperwares and close them up if you want, or you can use one tile, and then you can continuously take the strips off and put them back in the tile after every service. Again, is quite time consuming. This seems to be the go for most people, but completely up to you. I promised I would give you all the alternatives that I had. So there you have it. These are the essential lash products, the products that you absolutely cannot lash without. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and for more information, head to our main page. We have tons of free tutorials, and if you're interested in learning even more, head to lostartistrylash.com. We have a bunch of online courses, and I'm super happy to say that we now train students from across the entire world. Thanks again for watching.